And now he comes back down again, and I get the health bars. And everything is right in the world. Cool. So I think what I want to do now is just build out the splash screen real quick, and that'll probably end my morning of streaming. So scenes, splash, scene, and I'll go into the scene here. I'm just going to set the color, the background color to black, change it to solid color. Everything else with the camera I'm going to leave as is because I'm going to do all of this on the GUI layer. Let's save this, and let's see, no new questions or anything inside of here. Okay, so let's get started with a whole bunch of images. So I have all this artwork here that I had cut up. This is a texture atlas that I had built. So this will basically represent the whole game, and I'm going to layer this stuff and have like a nice little build up. So what I need to start doing is getting the basic stuff in. So this is my background image. I'm going to create a new UI component. It's just going to be an image, and I'm going to set the background image as its property. I'm going to set it to native scale. Wow, that banding looks like shit. Oh, here's why. Boom, boom, boom. Let's set this to point. Hit apply. Now the only problem with this of setting the pixel units as a 1-to-1 is that if I went back to this image and set native, it's just going to look like really weird. Image type, it's just going to be scaled out all the way. And what I was doing is I was going back through, you know what, maybe for this stuff, I'll just set this to 100. Yeah, so Brian's pointing out that it says anywhere to start. I have better graphics for all that. I just wanted to, this is all like the sample artwork. So I will actually make it, once I hook up, I need to have like one system that throughout the game manages whether it's on a touch screen or what kind of device it's playing with and what the input type is. And then everything else will just feed off of that. So that's like low on my list. But literally it's low on my list because I'll add it in right now. Yeah, you're saying use the text, but I actually might wind up just using a text component. That is a good point. When I built all this stuff when I was doing it for HTML5 game, there was like a big pain in the ass to do text in Canvas, just because of some performance issues and font embedding. If my headphones would stop dying on me. So I basically wound up just doing everything by hand. So I need a util. Oops. If what type of input for text throughout the game. Yeah, there's going to be like a whole bunch of crap that I need to go through and clean up in order to just get that consistent, where like with the instructions it'll tell you to tap, showing the UI when it's a touch screen and whatnot. So for this image, I want this centered. That looks perfect. The next thing that I'm going to do is create another image here. UI, create an image, and I want to change this to the background mask. And we'll set this to native size, which for some weird reason is way larger than it should be. Okay, here we go. That's why. All right, so the way that this sort of works is I line this up to about here, and when the game starts, this thing comes down and the player shoots up from behind it, and then everything sort of builds off of this mask, so it looks nice and clean, and it has that old like Nintendo-esque look to it. So this is the background. This is my mask. Next up is going to be my monster. So let's create a new image here. We'll make this the monster. We'll set this to native size. So we're going to put him right here. And I want the mask to be on top of everything. So again, this mask will just come down and this player will come up. I'm setting, the other thing that I do here is that I'm going to set everything to the position of where I want it to be at the end. So when I add in my own little, when I add in my own class for the layer tweening, I could just click all the buttons and have everything set up exactly where it needs to start. The next thing that I'm going to do is I want to add one more image for the title. And we'll move this title into place here. Probably going to add something that'll say like Fire Edition or whatnot. Oh man, I was so upset because I finally got my HD6 charged and I was going to connect it with the HDMI out into the capture card, but for some strange reason it doesn't actually go through the capture card because I think the HDMI video out from my tablet is encrypted, so I got to look into that because I wanted to actually deploy that and show how to deploy that off. So I guess just for the purposes of this video, it's really weird. I have to, luckily I know some people on the team, so I'll find out what's going on with that. But I'd like to actually be able to show the tablet off and the Fire TV off as I'm building to them. So this is the title, and let's see, for the start text, what did I just write? Press anywhere to start. Let me just throw this down for right now, just so that I can image, start text. I'll just want to, oh, you know what? I don't actually need this. I can just open up Photoshop on my other computer. Photoshop. So I did figure out another neat trick. While I couldn't get the camera, I couldn't get the output from the Fire tablet, one thing that I was able to do, oh Photoshop, I love how you don't automatically scale like every other app on the Mac. I did connect my Wacom tablet as an HDMI input, so now I can do some cool stuff like this. Oh, my screens are going to flicker in a second. It's going to just freak out because it doesn't know what to do. It should pull up my Mac through my Windows VM, and now I have my Wacom tablet up and running as a VM. So crazy. So, this is like the weirdest thing ever. I can actually pull up the PSD comp of this, and you can see what I do. So I have layer comps for all this stuff. I think in the final game I wound up taking out this official GameCook ink seal. Press anywhere to start. So all I wanted to do is just get the font size and this color. So go back into Windows here. Now I can switch between my my tablet as an input source and my code. So cool. Hello, welcome to the chat room. So more people are joining the stream. I'm very excited that I'm actually getting shit to work, which is always a pleasure. Delete this, and taking Brian's advice, I'm going to make a text input. We'll call this start text, and I'm going to change this font to Nokia. I got to clean this up. Rename Nokia font and get rid of old one. All right. And I want to set this to 16. Let's see, what was the color on this guy? So the color is going to be 241, 175, 46. So pretty. And for right now, we'll just have this thing say press anywhere to start. Put this guy up over here, and then getting asked a question here, what the app is on the side here. So this is OneNote in a Windows 8 version of OneNote, and Windows 8 lets me pin stuff, so you can do like a split screen type of thing. And for some strange reason, this actually happens to be like the best use case I've ever seen for it, is I can pin my OneNote notes here so that everyone can see them, and I don't have to keep switching between them. And then on the left-hand side, I can actually get some work done. So let's do overflow, because I don't feel like dealing with the text. I want to get this thing positioned correctly, 0, 0. And we're going to move this guy in and down so he sits right above here. Now, the fun thing is that I had a class that let me flicker this text and blink it, but because this is now a text component, I'm going to have to come up with some other way. But for at least the all intents and purposes, right now I just want to get this guy up and running. So here he is at 800 by 480. What I just want to make sure is that with everything centered when I change between aspect ratios. So let's get to something a little bit smaller, like 480 by 320, and rerun this. It's not scaling down. And what I need to do is just change this canvas to the screen space of the camera itself. We want to make it pixel perfect. Plane distance 100, sorting order default. We'll do the scale factor of 1. The reference, here's where everything was screwed up. So the reference of pixels to units will stay as 100. Zambaro, is that how you pronounce your name? I hate these screen names. I wish it would show me people's real names. So he's looking for a clean and easy task manager app for OS X. I suggest using Things. That's sort of what I use when I'm not on Windows 8. So if you just want Mac only, Things is probably the best task manager, like get shit done or get things done or whatever they call that style. All right, so start text. So everything got screwed up because I moved everything around. So scale with screen size. We'll have this scale with screen size, graphic raster layer, block objects. No, this is fine. So now if I rerun this, it should look good. One thing that I don't like here is that this stuff isn't centered. Well, it sort of is, but it isn't visually centered because there's extra black on this side. So I just want to move this. I want to make sure the gap to here and the gap to here is always perfect because I'm OCD about that kind of stuff. I want to move this down. And now everything else looks right. So if I went to a larger screen resolution, everything should scale up cleanly. Well, cleanly is, a matter of speaking because I still have some weird artifacts and stuff because this artwork wasn't really designed to scale like this. Although, one thing I'm seeing is that this isn't... One thing I'm seeing is that this This isn't actually scaled to where I really want it to. I wonder, when I go back to another, let's go to 480 by 800. Yeah, things are shifting around. All right, I'm gonna have to look into why that's happening. That's not what I want. Go back to canvas. I'm sure I have some 800. Here we go. 800 by 480 is the default thing. We wanted to we'll expand, clean this stuff up. Let's see. No, it's still moving things around. 420, 800, 800 by 480. I have to go back through and play with these. I still haven't really wrapped my head around all this stuff. Scale with screen size. Match to width. Reference pixels. All right. Well, it may also just be that this thing doesn't like me. You're saying that the resize works without play, but the reason I'm doing the resize hitting play, so Brian was saying that the resize works without hitting play. The thing that I'm doing, though, is if I wanted to get to a higher resolution, I wanted to see it at that full resolution. So here, when I play it, I can now see. And actually, while I'm at it, I might as well add Fire TV, which is a fixed resolution of 1080p, and I think it's 1920 by 1080p. Is that correct? Let's ask Google. I always forget the 1080p resolution. I always forget what the full resolution of 1080. Yeah, it's 1920. So 1920 by 1080p. So okay, if I rerun this, I should get full 1080p resolution. And this is what's killing me here, is that this stuff is not staying in place. And that just means that I screwed something up with it. So let's go in here and look at the start text and see where are I messing up. The biggest thing one thing is that I probably don't have the width and the height set correctly. Yeah, the text shouldn't be jumping around. So let's make this text 300. We'll make the pivot 1 or negative, 1. I want all this stuff to lock into place. Yeah, so I'm actually streaming my screen larger. My screen is actually much larger than 1080p, and what I'm winding up doing is I'm actually scaling it down to 720p when I output it, so that it's clean for you guys to see. So we're doing some movie magic here. Let's go to 800 by 480. Man, that text is just jumping around. That's going to piss me off. Well, yeah, let's see about changing this to the height. The height might be the trick. The other stuff, it seemed to work fine. There's like a whole, I'm just going to have to go through. There we go. The height actually seems to fix that. Thanks, Brian. Yet again, I'm just going to have Brian do all my games. For some reason, I guess, and the other stuff, the width worked well because I was pinning things to either side of the screen. But for the splash screen, I need to do the height, which also leads me to believe that I screwed up my other splash screen. So I'll go back through. Let's make a note. Test out splash and game over screens on different resolutions. I sort of designed these as much as possible so that this kind of stuff that's sliding around doesn't affect me normally, but this one splash screen is very particular just because I'm trying to layer everything up. So let's get this thing back down to here and rerun this one last time. Oh, okay, yeah, all right. Sorry. Embero, am I saying that right? He's the one who suggested the vertical axis, so let's give him some credit. Brian usually has all the answers. Yeah, look at, so now it's being pushed in a little too much. Well, okay. Long story short is I still got a lot of stuff that I need to fix, and just I need to go through and just really better understand this whole UI layout system, because some of it just isn't as intuitive as I'd like it to be. If I could do a 50-50 between width and height, I have no idea what that would even do. Because generally when I lay stuff up, I just calculate the scale up from the height. Yeah, it definitely has to do with the anchor, but I can't anchor it centered because if I anchored everything center, it would be fine. But what I want to actually double check is I want to make sure that nothing else. This might just be something really weird with the text component. I want to make sure that nothing else is actually jumping around here, because it looks like everything else is centered correctly. Maybe because I broke the text and I made the text not centered. It hates me. Let me create a new text component real quick. Or actually, I can just return the text component to its normal. What is its normal thing? I think it's just centered. Right? Is that what these guys all are? They're all centered. And I could change its scale to 0.5. Whoops, not its scale. I want its pivot to 0.5, 0.5. And I want to make this text centered. See, this is going to be like a huge annoying problem for me because this will always expand and change. Let's see if I run this again and run through these different resolutions. There we go. Why is that? Well, maybe you guys in the chat have an idea of why aligning it to the top left doesn't work. But now nothing seems to be jumping around. Oh, let me change this canvas back to... So if I go back to width, this should work too. Yeah, there's just something really weird with those registration points, those pivot points. All right, so 1080p works good. All these like odd little weird resolutions of the Android world in between seem to work fine, and everything is scaling. Great. I can now move on with my life. All right, I want to save this because it's getting late and I want to go eat some lunch and get to my work. So in all of these, I'm just going to add in a tween. I'm going to add in my tween layer. So for the background, actually I don't need, ironically enough, I don't need this for the background. For my monster, I want to add a tween layer. Anchoring to the side makes it jump around because it's bound to aspect ratio. Centering it will put it at the same place at all ratios. Okay. Yeah, I'm so used to like every other engine I've ever used is always like upper left-hand registration, and usually I just handle all the resizing and stuff myself, so I guess I don't really think about it that way, but I'm still like I have trouble wrapping my head around Unity's spaces. The fact that the registration of the screen is 0, 0 right in the middle throws off all my stuff too. So, all right, enough of me bitching though. So I want to set this as my end position, and this monster guy, I want to move him off screen for his start position, and I want to make him do a nice little bounce. So we'll do a ease out bounce, and we'll make this, let's just run this and see what happens with this bounce. The VM was getting in the way, it wasn't letting me actually click. Let me delay that, because there's this, we'll delay this by like 2 seconds, because there's, as Unity is trying to run, it chokes on the time here. Boom. Okay, cool. I like that little bounce. That looks good. Let me move him back to the end position so I can finish laying this stuff out. So I want the mask. Let's add a tween layer. I want this to be its end position, and its start position will just be up here. And I'll just move this text to behind here so that as it comes down it reveals that. We'll make this its start position, and this will just be a an ease out quad. We'll set the delay. So I'll go back through and I'll tighten all this stuff up. We'll make this 0.5 is fine. Alright, everything here should work. And let's move this to its end position. So now if I run this, this thing will slide down and this guy will pop up. Alright, which I can clean up. Should parent the title to the mask. I plan on doing this separately, so no. So here I'm going to have this slide in from the side. So we'll add in a tween layer. We'll set this to the end. And this guy is going to be a little weird. This one I usually have to do like a few times. So I wanted to slide in. So we'll just say that it's about here. So we'll set this as its start position, and we'll give it a delay of 2.3. We'll have this do a quad out. So we'll run this. The title, this should go down, this should slide in, and that guy should come up. So, and that's pretty much everything that I need to do. All I need to do now is just tighten these up. So we'll make the delay 1.5. I want this to be really fast, so we'll make this 3. We'll do 1.5 here. So as it's sliding down, as the mask is sliding down, the text is sliding in, and the monster will come in at 1.8. So just as this mask of 1.5, 5, 6, 7, 8, so basically I'm counting is as soon as this thing is done, the monster is going to come back in. So let's rerun this and see that everything works. And I think for right now that's sort of close enough. I definitely have to go back through and test this stuff on when I run it in the game, because there's a little bit more delay for this title than I want. Let's get this mask coming in at 1 second. I don't want you to be sitting there looking at a black screen for too long. And then this title should come in at the same time, and the monster should now come in at 3 instead. Let's run this. Boom. Looks good to me. So the next thing that I need to do, let me move this back, move to end position, is I need to create a transition manager. So create empty transition manager. So this is just a custom class that I have as well. Transition manager, I will tell it what scene it needs to go to. In this case, it's going to go to game scene. The delay will be 0.5, and I need to drag now. So this manager simply looks for any type of input. I need to do, let me add a note here. Man, this to-do list is getting insane. Fix transition manager to have a key mapping to move to next scene. Because right now it looks for the mouse click, and I was having this problem when I was running it on Fire TV because I didn't map it to an input button, so I need to just do that to either to any key in this case, since there's nothing here really to press, or something else. So game scene. So anyways, long story short is that when this detects the input for transitioning to the next level, it's going to go through this array here and just call reset on all of the it's just going to call reset on everything. So I want to move my monster, I want to move my mask, and I want to move my title. So Brian, going back to kind of why I use this this little panel, for some reason I just feel like instead of having to create a separate animator and link up the animator stuff and use the animator panel, which I'm not really a big fan of, and then have to get all that stuff by code, I could just do this all through a few little custom components. So here you'll see the game comes out, and now if I click, it should go to my game scene. But something, it just took a really long time. I want to fix that as well. And the last thing I do want to do before I forget is I want to add this scene. So this splash scene is basically the start of the game now. So we'll run the game. Everything will come into place. You can hit. This guy will come down, and then he plays. And then when he dies, monster, where's my death? Or where's my health? Set this to 0. Something's chugging in the background. I wonder what that is. Alright, he dies, and now he'll go to my splash, he'll go to the game over screen. Everything comes into place, and now if I click this, it transitions out, and it goes right back into my game. So all the scenes now are built for the game. Everything seems to be working pretty well. The screen is frozen. Is it frozen for you guys in the stream? Oh, okay. You guys missed all the fun. I'll just rerun it for those in the audience who wanted to see it. Hopefully it's still working. So start screen, we click. There's a weird delay. Actually, while I'm in here, let me go to this transition manager. I want to make this delay a lot less. So Murphy Law in full effect. My headphones have died twice already. Okay, so now when I click this out, whoa, it didn't like that at all. I need to add a little bit more delay here. Transition manager. It was just trying to do way too many things at the same time, so it locked up a little bit. Let's rerun this. Yeah, I know. I might wind up getting rid of the pixel camera. It was supposed to fix. The pixel camera was supposed to fix the banding in the background that you get when sometimes you see the different edges of tiles, since everything is made of this tile map. But I had to wind up rounding out the XY position for the camera, so I no longer need this pixel camera because it didn't solve what I need to do, and it's actually getting in the way. I think it might be a little too much for me to do that right now. I don't really want to get into that because it's getting close to my lunchtime. But I just wanted to check that when the monster dies again, we go back to the game over screen. I love this little effect in this pixel shake, the camera shaking. I don't think it comes over very well for you guys, but the camera shake, I still have to tweak it. But it's getting pretty close. And now we die.